So I went there saying, okay, because Castro was on his way out. I went there studying. Some folks from the WBU and from Canada were like, Mikey, you got to go check this out. And I went to go study the system to privatize it eventually and to ultimately set up a network so blind people could work from home and do remote jobs. At Serotech, when I was having people work from home, you have no idea how many investors walked out because they wanted to build the big ass behemoth. Well, we're going to do shipping containers and we're going to order the computers from China. And we're not. We're going to bootstrap this bitch, and we're going to make sure, because we're not going to charge $5,000 for a $200 device.
Period.
You didn't expect this, did you? You were going to get this tonight. Did you, Sean?
It's all good. It's all good.
Everybody just stop. I am still reeling at, we are going to bootstrap this bitch. I'm sorry. I have to I'm just doing somersaults over that phrase.
Well, the thing is that, unfortunately, I grew up in Miami, man, on the streets. I am a potty mouth and, an unapologetic person. I try and have filters, but it's really tough.
More of this. I love it.
Yeah. So I looked at the system there in Cuba, set up a system first with the guide dog, started going to the hotels in Cuba, set up a program there, was actually in the Cuban newspaper because I got kicked out of a place in Cuba with the dog. And that pissed off the blind people in Cuba. I mean, massively. Went to the media. Everybody got behind it, got a huge thing, set up a program to go around to all the hotels and show them what a handler does, what their responsibilities are. What the responsibilities of a handler was. We'd go in, we'd do a half-day seminar. We show them a movie, let them meet a dog, my guide dog, because they'd never met a guide dog. Or whatever. And at the same time, I don't know if you all saw me on Twitter back in the day, but I was collecting braillers because we were sending a container of braillers, of broken braillers, to Cuba. And they had 5 people on the island that were ready to fix them and hand them out. And then the orange man came in and foobarred the whole thing.
Yes.
Of course.
And the only good thing I took out of Cuba was my wife, who I met, and and we've been together now for 6 years, going on 7. Geez, but yeah, it was crazy. And in 2017, Serotech was still going. The biggest thing is System Access, SAMNet, the System Access Mobile Network, which is now Sero. That's a community of a couple thousand people. It's not a buttload of people, but those people live on our technology.
And they're passionate.
We have people that started with us and literally die. And that's how we know that they're gone, because they just keep paying the bill and they stay on. And people don't get that. People are like, oh, what's your next feature? Screw you, man. And we're not looking to do features. We deal with a bunch of older, low-tech blind people that really just want to turn something on and it always freaking works.
Yeah, good.
And now, we've extended out like into the blind shell. The blind shell is a badass device for the people who use it.
Yeah, I have one. You're telling me.
It's a great device and great people too. Barry, Diane, they're just amazing people. And so in 2017, I tell Matt, Microsoft started looking for people. And I'm like, bro, you got to go sign up for this, because I don't know how long this ship is going to last. And, you got to go do yours. I mean, this dude was working for under $100,000 at Serotech for years. Matt never made what he's worth with us ever. And it wasn't that we take advantage of him. We just couldn't afford it. And he wouldn't leave. I was going to stay in Cuba because I had the deal going on with the braillers and everything. And then in July, after Matt got hired at Microsoft, everything got foobarred in Cuba. And I ended up, bringing my wife here on a fiancé visa. But I told Matt, I said, if you get the job at Microsoft, you're fired, go. And he lasted at Microsoft for a couple of years. But, as Matt and Mikey do, we just started dreaming about doing shit, and we said, well, what if we did this? And because when I was getting divorced, I needed to read a bunch of documents. And we created something called JIT, just-in-time accessibility. And JIT, you'd upload a file to it, and it would parse it on the server. It would do the OCR and all that stuff, and then it would kick back a fully accessible version, very similar to DSP, to DocuScan Plus, or similar now to Scribe, but it had no AI, it had no nothing. We said, what if we did that, And we started, dinking around with that. And he had to leave Microsoft. He just didn't like it. He didn't like the corporate environment. Matt's a great team player as long as he's the team captain. And being that kind of person myself, I get it. It's really tough for someone like Matt or me when we've got a passion for something to take orders from somebody else. And we were pitching a deal to California because they had 2.5 million documents they needed to bring back online. The Canadian government helped us develop Scribe. They just tirelessly donated time to help us make sure that we were WCAG compliant. We didn't know a damn thing about WCAG. Had it not been for Canada, people like Jeff Stark. And we were getting ready to go pitch it in March of 2020 in California. And you all know what happened in March of 2020.
Oh, yep. Absolutely.
Kicked the shit out of us. We were like, oh my God. And Matt's stuck. He's still at Microsoft, but we developed this technology and, and I was getting ready to pitch it and he was going to eventually leave Microsoft anyway, but once we could afford to pay him. And he came up with this access kit concept, which I'm not going to go into here, but you can read about it at accesskit.dev. And it's a software stack that basically you can drop it into your software development environment and make all of your GUI toolkit stuff accessible. Now I'm super oversimplifying it, but it was something that in the middle of the pandemic, he just got homesick. I told him he's Dorothy. He wanted to go back to Kansas and where he's literally from. And he went back to Kansas and we didn't know what to do with Scribe because, we had lost our deals. And then we came up with Scribe for Education, which was free. Nobody had any money at the time. And we didn't know where the hell the world was going to go.